I think me and Dylan are gonna do
Uh,
play-by-play for Texans Ravens.
I think it would make.
Bet.
I think I can only do Sunday because Saturday I can't
Sunday
do
I
anything.
leave.
Oh yeah,
Well, there goes that dream.
because I'm going to the hockey game.
wait, Dylan, you're skipping football to go to a hockey game?
Yeah, Dylan, what?
I have tickets to it. I'm not gonna not
Yeah,
go.
but it's
I know, I'm
why
just
not?
surprised.
Divisional round predictions as we get closer and closer to the pinnacle of the National Football League. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. God, I have dementia when it comes to remembering these episode names. It's actually a very, very serious disease. Episode 24. It's episode 24. It is episode 24. Obviously, going over all 4 games. This is one of the best divisional rounds I have been alive for. I think every single one of these games is close, although it is for most divisional round games, but these are going to be some phenomenal games. So we will be going over, obviously, all 4 of the games, giving you guys our thoughts and our predictions. I am also thinking for future episodes, we should do a mailbag portion, which we did in the beginning of our podcast. I remember Charlie and Sir's, the first ever in-person one we did at my house, like our junior year of high school. We did a mailbag portion. Texans, Ravens, very, very good one. Obviously, the Texans come out flying, huge win against Cleveland. And as well, the Ravens, first time we're seeing them in the playoffs this year. As I've said, Dylan, in our live streams that we did after the wildcard games, I do think, and Sir, you're on as well, I do think there can be a negative to a bye week just because you're adjusting to that playoff culture. A team has already played a playoff game. That being said, I don't think the Ravens will feel this, but I do think they may start off slow, and I do think the Texans may start up 7-0, 14-0. I think we could see the Texans start off this game stronger. When you guys look at this game, what are some, and I love to talk matchups, but just give me some of your guys' thoughts on this game, because I think this is, I mean, you look at CJ Stroud and Jordan Love, 2 guys who have just turned up at the end of the season and turned up even more that next level in the playoffs. The Texans are a team to watch. The Texans are a dangerous team against this Ravens team. But what are your guys' thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think when for the Baltimore Ravens, what's going to be in the front of their mind is what happened in 2019. Whether you were there or not, a few years ago, the Ravens were the best team in the league by far. They were 14-2, were the 1 seed. Everyone predicted they'd go to the Super Bowl. Divisional round, they see the Tennessee Titans and they get crushed. It wasn't even close. I don't know if they overlooked them, but like I said, maybe the rust was a factor, but they lost to a team that was perceived as vastly inferior to them. This game, they're going to have all focus on making sure, no focus on the conference championship game, no focus on Kansas City or Buffalo. They got to focus on winning this game. And the reason why I think they will is because I think their defense is just, which was good last time, but it's just the best in the league. It's very clearly the best in the league for me. And I think even with obviously CJ Stroud is playing at such a high level, even with that Texans offense, which seems to be humming really nicely right now, I think that this defense or Texans earlier this season, albeit it was week 1, they shown that they can stop the Texans offense. I think they're going to do so. I don't know. I think the slow, obviously, with kind of not playing for 3 weeks. But I think eventually they'll get going. I think it's gonna make sure that they make CJ Stroud look as much of a rookie as I think as possible. I know he isn't really, like, he doesn't play like a rookie, but at the end of the day, he is a rookie, and this is probably the toughest playoff. This is much tougher than playing at home at NRG Stadium. Going to M&T Bank is definitely a different type of game. So I think Ravens will come away with that.
No, this is absolutely going to be a much tougher game than last week because playing in Baltimore is one of the hardest places to play, especially when the Ravens are good. When the Ravens are okay, the atmosphere is nothing special. And I think that's true for most teams. But the Ravens, I find in particular, when the Ravens are good, the stadium is so impossible to play at. And the defense, when the defense is good and when the fans are good and when everybody's yelling at you, it's so hard to go in there as a rookie quarterback and win that game. And look, it's a young, inexperienced offense, a young, inexperienced defense. So it's going to be a tough game to win. Where I disagree with you, though, Suraj, is looking at this purely as the Ravens' defense is the best in the league and they're going to make Stroud look uncomfortable. I thought arguably the Browns' defense was the best in the league, and Stroud scored 45 points against them. That was going into last week. Obviously, it's not, we can't look at that anymore, but the Browns and the Ravens were the 2 top defenses in the league this season. Whether you think the Ravens were better, whether you think the Browns were better, I think it's pretty clear that the Browns had the best defensive player in the league. Laramie Tunsil made him look not that good for most of the game. But I think that either way, whether this was the number 1 defense, the number 2 defense, the Texans have proven that they can score points against good defenses. So I don't know that this Ravens defense will be any different, but it just depends on the kind of game we're going to get. And I think that the Ravens are the clear favorites in this one. Playing in Baltimore, it's going to be hard to go in there and win. So I just, this game, any start for the Texans, but we're going to see a different result.
So I think with yeah,
go ahead.
Well, I think what I think really suits. I always thought the Ravens defense was better than the Browns, but I think that's not even the reason why I think this defense will do well. I think the fact that this defense is built a lot differently than the Browns, the fact that their strength of their defense is the interior, which with Matabike and Pierce, which I think will be able to get pressure where the Texans' interior isn't as strong as obviously their tackles with Tunzel. I think their linebackers are great at kind of stopping yards after catch, which we saw a couple of those plays with Nico Collins or Brevin Jordan making those types of plays. So I think that's going to be a lot more limited, a lot less space kind of to run after the catch. I think their safeties is a huge part of their game, where it's obviously Kyle Hamilton, who's been one of the best defensive players in the league, Marcus Williams, Geno Stone. It's going to be hard to kind of it's gonna, with the way they play, kind of that shell coverage, it's gonna be very hard for the Texans to find that deep ball that they were able to hit against Cleveland. I think obviously crowd obviously plays a huge factor as well. It's gonna be much harder playing in that type of atmosphere, road atmosphere, especially for a rookie quarterback like Stroud. And I think it's gonna be a game where really the Texans are just gonna have to, like, they're not going to be able to push the ball deep like they usually like to, or at least they like to, especially against Cleveland. And I think that's going to definitely force them into making a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes, especially as a young team. And I think that's why Baltimore's defense is much better suited to play than Cleveland.
Yeah, I think schematically, I think this Baltimore defense, the way McDonald and Harbaugh have set it up, is the perfect mistake for a West Coast offense to go up against. And while Houston isn't completely West Coast, they still have those elements in it. They're very run after catch oriented, very outside zone running scheme oriented. So I think Baltimore is going to be a lot of motion. Baltimore's going to be able to.
I don't think they're very run after catch oriented at all. I think you look at that Cleveland game
with Nico especially, you see it a lot.
Nico is not a run after catch. If you watch Nico Williams the past weeks, Nico Williams is a burner who catches those big plays and finds gaps within the defense.
I mean, he does both. He
does both.
He's a very complete receiver. But
I wouldn't say looking at the Cleveland game, you could say this is a very heavy run after catch. I actually don't think it is.
But I think if you only look at that game, sure. But even in that game, there was a lot of run after catch. But in general, I think the point stands that it is it's a run after catch oriented offense, just because of the way they design their plays. It's a lot of intermediate passes in the middle of the field, a lot of flats. There's not there.
Okay, but then Serge's point about how they won't be able to hit the deep ball over the top is irrelevant because they don't need the deep ball over the top.
Yeah, I
don't
think
it's kind of. It's
I don't
one
think
of the other
it's
not.
I haven't gotten there. They won't be able. They will hit. I mean, Stroud is great, so he's going to be able to hit a deep ball. I think he can, but them not being able to hit the deep ball over the top would be more because the Ravens defense is schematically perfectly suited to play against that type of offense. So they're going to need to resort to CJ Stroud pulling off some magic. And I don't know that they'll be able to because the Ravens have such a good secondary.
I throw all good defense out the window. I think CJ Stroud it's going to be a high scoring game. I think CJ Stroud will struggle a little more than Cleveland, but I think CJ Stroud is going to dice up this defense, and I watch it happen. I think they have the personnel. God forbid you interrupt. Stop interrupting.
Dude, I was literally agreeing with you. Come on.
Yeah, but let us speak. I think CJ Stroud. Yes, I don't think it'll be as easy as that Cleveland game. But obviously you're not worried about this Baltimore defense, but I don't think I think this Texans offense is so well coached and this offensive line was fantastic against Cleveland. I don't think the Ravens have a upper tier edge rusher that's even close to Myles Garrett. I think they have more pieces. But I think this is going to be a high scoring game. And yes, I think it won't be as high. I don't think they're going to drop over 40 points, but I think this could be a 30-point game on both sides of the field. And I think Stroud will maybe start off slow, but I think he will be comfortable in this game because he's a guy who in college was very comfortable, and that was a pro of him. He's able to sit in that pocket. He's able to find the throws. He's able to find gaps in the zone. I think with not as much ease he will be able to in this Ravens game, but I think Stroud will be fairly comfortable in this game.
But I know you mentioned the point that they don't have like a star edge rusher like Myles Garrett, but I actually think that plays to the Ravens' advantage because again,
How?
the strength because where with teams like the Browns, the Steelers, or the Cowboys, who all have elite pass rushers, the Texans have that perfect neutralizer with Laramie Tunsil, who's one of the best left tackles in the league. With the Ravens, they more rely on interior pass rush and obviously a lot of stunts you see with that kind of defense. They bring pressure from time to time as well. I think that actually is suited better to um, really put a lot of pressure on CJ Stroud, where kind of it's harder. I think the interior isn't really that strong. Obviously, they're a little banged up as well. I think the Ravens are going to be able to do a much better job than Cleveland of getting pressure. And I think, like you said, throwing intermediate is going to be a huge problem because we saw with teams like San Francisco and Miami who love to dominate that area of the field. Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, probably the best, I would say this year have definitely been the best linebacking duo in the league. I think they're going to neutralize that. That's going to be very hard to do. And obviously, like I said, the secondary, it's literally built for stopping big plays. We haven't really seen that a lot against Baltimore. Um, and I think it's really like Dylan said. I think the main way the Texans are going to score is based on CJ Stroud magic, and I think that's going to be even harder considering obviously Tank Dell's injury. Now Noah Brown's out for the year, so you're relying on Nico, who's great, and then after that it's Robert Woods, who's also playing a little banged up. He's like solid, he's okay. John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson, who are like they're not like terrible pieces, but
Mechie was extremely influential in that game against Cleveland.
he
Mechie had
had one
two.
he had a nice catch like
I don't
on
know. I
that
think we
one.
all were saying the same things
But
about this Browns defense, and he was
no, the
very,
Ravens
very.
defense. I think the
who's your
Ravens
pick?
defense is a better defense. I
It's a
think
tough one because I think Stroud will be comfortable. That being said, you have Lamar on the other side, so it's not that Stroud could be perfect in this game, but you have the MVP on the other side of the ball. So I'm gonna go Ravens. I think again I've tended to pick the team that I want to win. So I'm gonna go Ravens. I think the Ravens will win this game, but I think it'll be very close. I think we said a lot of the same things because there's two sides in my mind. It's the one side where Stroud will go out and be like he was against Cleveland, and then there's the other side where it's the fairy tale ends and Stroud has an awful game, and the Texans get blown out. So it's kind of just I'm kind of walking a fine line of what I think, but I do think the Ravens will win. But I think this game, I agree with you. I think this defense could be extremely oppressive on Stroud, and this could be a terrible game for Stroud and this Texans team, and that's what it will be, or it'll be very close. And yeah, I don't know. I think Lamar has struggled in the playoffs before. It's a proven fact, so I think it's tough. But I will go Ravens. I will go Ravens.
yeah, I think I'm like I said, I'm already gonna go Ravens again. With Lamar, I think he's gonna play better than he did against Tennessee. I think he seems very I
He
think
can throw
obviously
the
the
ball a
goal.
lot better now. The people
Yeah,
say he
he's a,
can't throw. He
Yeah,
can.
it's been
He's
4 years now.
yeah.
I think if not now, then when? I feel like for Baltimore, I think this defense, like I said, I already talked about how I think this defense is going to win the battle. I think this offense might start out slow. Like I already said, the break may cause a little bit of rust for them, but ultimately, this is a very good offense. I think this is a team that, with Todd Monken instead of Greg Roman, are more built to pass the ball and more built to be a playoff team. I think the offense is going to do a solid job where I think we've already seen Lamar cook some already like San Francisco and their scheme where Demeco Ryans as good as he's been that they run a pretty similar defense. I think Lamar's gonna be able to do his job and especially in the second half, I feel like he will come alive and I think Baltimore will win it.
Let's give our picks around, then we'll
Yeah,
move on.
yeah, I'm just gonna touch on one more thing. I didn't really talk about Baltimore's offense and the disparaging difference in linebacking cores in this game is gonna be the difference in the game because
Respect Blake
Houston.
Cashman. Sorry.
No,
That's
I
Stop
mean,
it.
talking.
sure. I mean, he's actually come into the team
He's
and
been
done a
good.
solid enough
This
job.
Texans defense is
but
criminally hated on. The Texans have
no, it's a good
have a
defense.
good
It's a
defense.
good defense. But when you go from even letting a guy like Joe Flacco get out of the pocket and make plays, and I know he made some bad. He was pretty bad against the
Flacco
Texans
was
altogether.
awful.
But Yeah, he was. But he got out of the pocket and made some plays in the first quarter. You let Lamar get out of the pocket, it's a completely different story. And I
Lamar
just
gets
don't
out of the
think
pocket no
like
matter who your pass rushers are. Lamar is
no,
there's
I know, but
it's
it's not even the
containing
pass rush here
Lamar.
though. It's not even the pass rushers here. It's the linebacking core of Cashman and Perriman that I just don't think that's going to be able to contain any of the run after catch or any of like the open field tackling is going to be problematic for Houston in this game just because there's so much speed for the Ravens. So you know where I'm going with this. I'm going with the Ravens. I don't think it'll be a blowout because I do believe in CJ Stroud. I think he's magical. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league already. But the Ravens are just too well built right now.
Look, I think we're looking at probably and possibly the 2 best quarterbacks in the league right now.
Yeah, I
Based on
think
this
so.
season's performance.
I think
I
so.
think Lamar for me is the standout MVP, but I think CJ Stroud is also the standout rookie of the year,
I think
and
CJ
he's
Stroud is behind him in MVP.
probably the number 3
Those
in the
are
MVP voting.
Who would you put
In
ahead
my
of him?
opinion, I would probably say Dak is ahead of him just based on regular season performance because
Yeah,
that's all MVP
yeah.
is.
It's so hard
Um,
to say that though after
Yeah.
it's
after
really
yesterday.
difficult to say. It's been just his
Yeah.
best season, and
I
they've
don't.
been
Yeah.
fantastic this year. But Stroud is definitely top 5 in my MVP voting. So I think that we're watching just 2 fantastic quarterbacks go at it, and this is CJ Stroud, who can, as we've seen, dice up any defense. That includes the Browns. I know they're different than the Ravens, but he can do it to anybody. But Lamar can also do it to anybody. He did it to the Dolphins. He did it to the Niners. He's just been outstanding this year. So it makes this pick tough. We didn't really talk a lot about that Ravens offense versus the Texans defense. I know you just touched on it, but I think that's going to be the more key matchup in this game because I think the Texans will get some points. The question is, will it be enough to beat the Ravens? Will
Yeah.
the Texans defense be able to stop the Ravens enough times? While logically, I think the answer is no. I bet against the Texans last week, so I'm gonna pick the Texans this
I
week
love it.
just because. Why not? Let's mix it up. I like CJ
Charlie,
Stroud. I
I'm
like
gonna
what they've
follow.
done.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow your lead and flip my pick. I want Texans also. I think I convinced myself of it, and I talked myself out of it. I'm gonna go Texans as well.
Look, but either way, this
Eh,
is going to be I think a very thrilling game to watch because you're watching just 2 high-powered
Yeah.
quarterbacks go at it. So it's going to be a fun watch either way.
Yeah. Let's move on. Next game, another extremely exciting one. Me and Dylan talked about in our live stream yesterday. We kind of gave a few of our thoughts on this Buccaneers Lions game, and I'll talk about the main thing we talked about first, and that was how effective and just incredible this incredibly well coached that Bucks defense was against the Eagles. You look at that defensive line, you look at the pressure they brought, you look at the intelligence of when they were bringing pressure on 3rd and long. Hurts was suffocated that game. Kelsey unfortunately was getting, their entire O line was getting pushed around, probably besides Lane Johnson because he just never seems to get pushed around.
And because he false starts on every play, so it's like he gets a running start.
that's also true.
Yeah. But it's again arguably the best offensive. I mean, I think the Eagles personnel wise are the best offensive line in football, but the lines are right there. And you look at a Bucks. I think I think for me that is the name of the game is this offensive line against the trenches. I think will be the biggest factor in this game. That being said, Baker was incredibly very good against the Eagles. The play action was working all day. They were able to find receivers down the middle of the field. Obviously the tackling by, I mean, Charlie's Giants fans, it's great to see James Bradbury. That was maybe the worst tackling. I think I could have tackled better, and how
But
my
it wasn't even
lore
just
with being
Bradbury. I
able
mean,
to.
we were watching the entire Eagles defense just fail at
No, but
everything last
Bradbury
night.
led up 2 touchdowns based on
No,
that
Bradbury
second
was the
touchdown to
biggest
Palmer. He
component,
missed the
the
tackle
biggest.
and then took out the player that would have tackled him. So yeah, I mean that was yeah.
It's
But yeah,
almost
I
as
mean,
if bringing in the 2018 All-Pro defense doesn't work in 2023.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was our storyline the whole time. It's an aging secondary. We knew that would be a problem, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the Lions. It's gonna be it's matchup wise extremely close. I think the Lions are a better rostered team, but it's very, very close. You look at 2 good receiving offenses, good secondaries. It's tough. It is tough for me because I think the Lions have a better O line, Bucks have a better D line, but it's all very fine margin. So, what do you guys think about this game?
Yeah, we saw these 2 teams also face off earlier in the season. The Lions won, I believe it was 20-6. It was a game where I think that at that point their defense was playing very well, and they really looked like one of the best the most complementary teams. So they're playing great offensive football, great defense. Obviously, their offense is still amazing. Their defense has started to kind of wane like towards the end of the season, but in the playoffs, they started off like first half very bad, but the second half they did pretty well. We saw them really kind of bend but don't break type defense. They played well there, but I think the Bucks obviously pose a threat, obviously with their receiving options: Evans, Godwin, Trey Palmer, even David Brown. I say he was the one who had that one of those
David
long
Moore.
touchdowns. David Moore, I don't know why. But this will definitely be an interesting game. I'm gonna pick the Lions just because I think with the Lions, they've already seen one of the better interior groups in the league with obviously Aaron Donald and also Kobe Turner, who's been having a good year. And then obviously we know that the Bucks have Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey. I think that's also a very good group. It will maybe a bit harder for them to run the ball, but I also trust them to kind of give Goff time to throw again. I think their defense again, I think it will step up again. Having Ford Field, which is probably the best home atmosphere in the playoffs at this point, in my opinion, I think that's going to be huge for them. And yeah, give me the Lions to go to the NFC Championship. That's crazy to say.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
tough. Yeah. Go ahead, though.
So I agree with pretty much everything you just said, but I think you left out a few key factors for Tampa Bay, which is the linebacking core in Tampa Bay is perfectly suited for this game. This is the best drop back ball playing linebacking core other than the Ravens in the league. And when you create the amount of pressure that not only the front four for the Buccaneers are able to, but also the blitzes that Bowles has been able to bring in and make this defense into a very pressure heavy defense. I think that this is a matchup made in hell for the Lions. Now, do I think the occasion might be too big for Baker Mayfield on the other side of the ball? I think it might be because he just hasn't been consistent enough for the Buccaneers over the course of the season. And I know they've got good build on offense just throughout the roster. The O-line's solid enough. They've got a good receiving core. Rashad White's been arguably top 10 this season. But I just think the offense has failed a few too many times for me to feel confident in picking them. I think this is going to be very low scoring. I think both offenses are going to struggle heavily, but who do I trust to go through at the end of the day? I just think the team that's more established and has looked better for the better part of the season is going to go ahead and do it. Give me the Church of Football here. It's going to be close.
It's tough because I think, yeah, I mean, it shows how much, I mean, I split like these games are genuinely extremely tough. And Dylan, I couldn't agree with you more. This matchup for the Lions is not a good one. However, if they are able to, I think, look, we know, I mean, serious, as a Jets fan, you know that Todd Bowles' defense are extremely blitz heavy.
Yeah,
that's where
definitely.
they succeed on. That being said, that can backfire in situations if you're able to get the ball out quick, if you're able to find space, if you're able to evade that blitz. Obviously, we know in the NFL there are many play calls that Dylan, as a Dolphins fan, I'm sure you can name several that the Dolphins run that are, you know, those screens, getting the ball out quickly. Jared Goff has been known to be a quicker quarterback. I think he can dial up big throws, but also they have a very, very good running back core. And I'm very scared of giving the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs. You blitz your linebackers and you have two safeties that are now need to block Jahmyr Gibbs, who is one of the shiftiest running backs in the National Football League. I think that ground and pound from Detroit was something that the Eagles were not able to do, but giving the ball to David Montgomery to, you know, just get those 5-yard, 6-yard runs, and then you're able to find Jahmyr Gibbs in the flat. You're able to give him the ball on outside runs. I think the Lions have a very, very good offense to maneuver out of the traps that Bowles will send towards them. That being said, I think Bowles could catch them. So I agree. We always say it's going to be low scoring, but all these playoff games are generally all over 17 points. So yeah, it'll be low scoring, but I think teams will have 2-3 touchdowns. It's so tough. I'm gonna go Lions as well. I'm gonna go for the Church. I'm gonna put my faith in the Church and what they have done. Also, it says Church of Football in our Instagram bio now. I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but Dylan, shout out to you.
Yeah.
As Church of Football, because I
That's
didn't know.
funny.
I wanted to have like a one-liner there that was like good, and I just have never been able to think of one, so I put that there. People may mistake in that, and that may not be the best thing, but I guess we'll see. I feel like people don't
It is
also
what it
look at
is.
our bio.
They definitely don't know what we're talking about, but
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
this
I'm gonna go
is
Lions. I'll let Charlie talk.
this is definitely a tough game to pick, I think, because I'm actually really mad at myself that I didn't pick the Bucks to beat the Eagles last week
I know.
because
I
it was
know.
so obvious that it was going to happen. I mean, it was
I
just
just
sitting there waiting
Mhm.
for us. The Eagles lost 5 of their last 6, including losses to the Cardinals and the Giants. Their only win was a 3-point win over the Giants. Of course they were going to lose, and they were playing without their best receiver. This was an obvious loss for the Eagles. The Bucks also just played really, really well.
Mhm.
I think the Lions were in a great matchup with the Rams in that first round, and I don't think this will mimic that perfectly because I think the Lions are a fair bit better than the Bucks right now. I think the Lions defense is a lot better than the Eagles. I think the Lions offense is a lot better than the Eagles. So give me the Lions in this one, but I would not be surprised if the Bucks go out really high off of that win and surprise some people to this weekend. So
Yeah.
I'll take the Lions, but
Charlie, and I just want to say this because we were all on the live stream. That was the first one we did, right? That was after the Rams Lions game.
Yeah.
Charlie, were you watching the Rams Lions game?
yeah, of course.
I don't know if it was just me, but did that game end extremely abruptly in your opinion? Like you may have not have seen that at all, but Dylan, do you agree with me? The
No,
game
I knew
ended
what you were saying.
very fast.
So
Like I
what
thought
I was looking
the
at with
Rams
that
were gonna
game.
drive, and then it just ended.
So what I was looking at is I don't know, like we're talking about exactly the ending, but I was really mad. My prediction obviously last week was that there would be 90 points in that game.
Oh
We
yeah.
ended with 45.
Oh, so
Um, but there
47.
were
Very close.
47, but there were 38 points scored on the board. I believe it's 38 points with the ball in with the Rams having the ball in Lions territory with 2 minutes left in the first half.
yeah. No, well, because the
Had they
Lions,
scored a touchdown
yeah.
there, it would have been 45 points at halftime, putting it on pace for 90 points.
Mhm.
And then I said to my friend, I was like, odds are no points here, and then we're going to come out in the third quarter and be really slow. I wasn't actually expecting that, but then there were only 6 or 9 points in the entire
Yeah.
second half.
The
Totally
Lions,
screwed it.
Lions scored 3 touchdowns, and then they had a field goal in the second half.
No, exactly. It was a very, very boring second half, but I don't know if that's exactly what you mean, but it was like
Yeah.
just sort of, it was really quick second
Yeah.
half. Like it was just
Yeah.
over before you even realized.
Mhm.
Um,
That's what I meant.
But I'm actually like I'm just gonna flip my pick in this one. I'll pick another upset. I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers
All
just
right.
because like I don't know why. Like I
I
feel like
think
the
that's a
Bucks just
very
played
valid
such
pick.
a good game of football against the Eagles. I know the Eagles were a struggling team, but they made zero mistakes yesterday. It was a perfect game of football from the Bucks. And 32 points, only 9 allowed against the Eagles. That's a really good game.
Yeah.
I'll take the Bucks.
Very much.
So why not?
We'll move on.
And they stopped the
Sorry.
tush push. That
Yeah,
They stopped the tush push. They did that twice this year. They did
I
the first
know.
time they played too.
I know.
it's because
Um,
Greg Gaines just fell, and then
Yeah,
Jason
Charlie.
Kelsey
Yeah,
fell.
Dylan
you
was
just
talking about it
dive
yesterday.
under
He's
him,
like, moving on to our next game. This is the game I'm most excited to watch. Packers 49er. I can't even say that because I'm really excited for the Texans game. I'm excited for all these games. I
All
haven't been
of them.
excited for a
All of
week
them.
of football for I obviously get excited when there's football, but I'm I can't wait. Like I'm so excited. Man, maybe it's because I picked the Packers and I have not let you guys hear the end of it to win that game against the Cowboys, but
Hmm.
I think you look at a Texans team and a Packers team that are playing teams off the bye, and they are not like they need to watch out. I don't think the Niners are overlooking this and looking to the NFC Championship, but they really need to. If Jordan Love comes out as he did, which was a better Aaron Rodgers in that game, Jordan Love was absolutely flawless. Jordan Love was more
It
mobile.
was not a better Aaron Rodgers.
I
Let's be
100%.
clear.
You look at that game, you look at the
What
absolutely
version of
no
Aaron
mistakes.
Rodgers
It
are
was
we
better
talking
than
about?
last year's Aaron Rodgers, but it's not better than like arguably a top 5
I
quarterback
think you
of all
look at
time.
Aaron Rodgers in his prime and you look at Jordan Love in that game, and I don't think you could find too many differences between those two guys.
I mean, if Jordan Love, like if that was like an average Jordan Love performance, then yeah,
Then
but
yeah, but that was his best performance in his career,
That's Jordan.
and that was an average
Serge,
Aaron
you're
Rodgers
saying
performance.
Aaron Rodgers on average scores 48 points. No, he doesn't.
No, I'm saying if that was, like an average Jordan Love performance.
No,
No,
I think
feel
We're
that
like
getting
if you
off topic though.
I think that if you
Yeah.
look at
Like-
Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love was flawless. So I don't see how you could Jordan Love literally did absolutely nothing wrong in that game. Jordan Love threw from every angle. Jordan Love hit every pass. Jordan Love threw sidearm. Jordan Love threw Jordan Love was absolutely incredible. That was one of the best games I've seen. He has had the best transformation I've ever seen from a quarterback midseason. He went from having 8 touchdowns and 6 picks before the bye to having 27 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. You don't see that from quarterbacks. So I think if he comes out like that, this Niners team is kind of screwed. And we talked about on our live stream, Jaden Reed did not have a catch. I don't think Christian Watson may have had one. But if they are able to get Jaden Reed, who I think is the most talented receiver on that team, Christian Watson, who is an extremely good deep threat, if they get Musgrave healthy for this game, this is a Packers offense, and it's incredible because they're not paying any of them. Like, it's a young, electric offense. Aaron Jones has the most yards in the NFL playoffs rushing. The Niners are in for a tall task here. That being said, and I know I hyped up the Packers, and I actually am going to pick the Packers. I think the Packers are going to win this game. That being said, the Niners are phenomenal. They're the best team in the NFC. Obviously, you have McCaffrey, and again, I just hyped up the Packers very much. So excuse me for that. But what do you guys think when it comes to this game?
Yeah, I think this game, I don't think Jordan Love's gonna have the same performance he had against Dallas because that game just cost Dan Quinn any head
Yeah,
coaching opportunities
I
that he
know.
had before. There's no way that those receivers will be running as wide open as they were on a few of those plays. Not to discredit anything from Jordan Love because some of the throws he was making in that game, that 2-point conversion. Wait, no, that last touchdown he threw
To
and the
Dobbs,
other
yeah.
touchdown
Oh
to
my.
Dobbs and the touchdown to Wicks off his back foot, that was prime Aaron Rodgers. That looked like a AR clone right there. But with this game, I think the Niners, another team that has a great linebacking core that's going to make it harder to throw over the middle of the field. I think where Jordan Love might be okay is that obviously he has probably one of the best arms in the league in terms of like kind of getting zip on that ball, and he's gonna be able to still make those plays to the receivers. I think he's gonna have a good game. I do believe that because I think this Packers offense is like you said. I think he and you and Dylan both said that they had a better offense than
It was
than
Dylan.
Dallas, and I know you got Dylan did, and he caught a lot of heat for that, and I mean it was true.
Dylan
And I
said a
think that
lot of
offense,
terrible things that were very, very wrong on our wild card picks, but that was one that he was
Eh.
bang on about. Dylan,
but
you said some. Dylan, we are
No,
still
I feel
getting
like
comments on the Dolphins video of
I love
why
it.
does
I
this
love it.
guy?
It's so funny.
but
They
I
told me
think
to unplug my mic. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think with this game, I still think they're gonna be able to make a couple of plays because I don't think the Niners secondary, they have Charvarius Ward, but outside of that, I don't think it's the greatest secondary, especially with Hufanga being out for the year. But I think they'll be able to make some plays, but at the same time, I think this Niners offense is going to torch the Packers defense. I know Joe Barry has done an okay job in the last few games against the Bears and the Cowboys, but I think San Francisco is just a different animal. I think it's impossible to for that defense to contain McCaffrey, Ayuk, Kittle, Debo, and obviously Shanahan's calling the plays. Not to mention Purdy is obviously a great facilitator for all those weapons. I think the Niners are going to put up 40 in this game, and I think it's going to be really hard for Jordan Love to
Yeah.
keep up with that. So yeah, give me the Niners.
Yeah, this game is so difficult for me to pick because I want to so badly just jump on that Packers bandwagon and run because
I know.
man, is that like Jordan Love went out
This
there
team is
and
fun.
looked
It's a fun team.
he looked
It
like
was
Aaron
just a
Rodgers,
beautiful
and
offensive performance. Like one
it's
of the
just
most clinical offensive performances. Like his throws, like
but
genuinely were like
yeah.
gorgeous.
No,
Mhm.
he's so good, and
Yeah.
I really hope that he doesn't go into this game and have a bad game
Yeah.
because San Francisco's going to be the team that can throw him off if
Mhm.
there is a team, and I kind of just see that coming, unfortunately, where it's just like they're just too powerful, and the offense doesn't quite know how to beat the first solid defense, then Demeco Ryans, and now Steve Wilkes, which is pretty much just the same scheme with new heads of it. And Green Bay's had opportunities to go in and play against this type of scheme, and every time Rodgers got stonewalled. And I just don't know if Aaron Jones can go out and have the game he did again, which I said it on live, that was the best running back performance I've ever seen in the playoffs. If he can go out and do that again, I think
I
that
think he might
name
be
one.
like they might
Name
give
one.
him like
We
20 to
watched Derrick
25
Henry
K.
take the
Yeah.
Titans to the AFC
Yeah,
Championship.
I was
He
gonna say.
threw a
Yeah,
touchdown.
Yeah. Dylan, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
no,
sure.
Derrick
Serge,
Henry.
Serge,
Derrick
I'm actually
Henry
pretty
is like
sure that game the Ravens lost. Actually, no, that game the
Yeah,
Ravens
that
lost
game
was
the
a
Ravens lost
no, but it
was
actually was a really good performance from Ryan
That was
Tannehill.
a
It was actually a very
Tannehill
good
game.
throw.
That was a
Yeah.
Tannehill
no,
game.
but
Yeah.
it was that
no, Ryan
year
Tannehill.
that
Like I
Derrick
don't even know if he
Henry.
had he had barely over 100 yards.
Really,
that
Serge?
game.
I thought maybe
No,
I'm just
Ryan
remembering.
Tannehill. Derrick
Maybe you're
Henry
right. Maybe
took
you're
that
right. Yeah.
team to the
No, I
AFC
think you're right.
Championship.
But Serge, I think
Yeah,
I'm
no,
remembering the deep throw. I think it ended the game. I don't remember who to.
Oh yeah, it was.
just-
I know he had one. I know he did have,
Yeah.
but that was like the one play made.
Maybe
Like
you're right.
Henry
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
200 in both of those games.
Yeah,
He was,
Dylan. Yeah, Dylan. Yeah.
I'm not.
He
Look,
Gotcha
in
there,
terms of,
gotcha
I mean,
there.
sure. In
Henry
terms
had
of impact,
30 carries for
No, no, no.
195
Okay, no,
Yeah,
yards
that's
that
actually
game.
My
in
bad.
terms
that's
of
absolutely
impact.
insane.
No, in terms of impact, Derrick Henry, sure. Just from the standpoint of watching and picked up in that game, the important runs that he made all over the field, that was a phenomenal game. And sure, I'll give Henry the credit because I wasn't thinking.
No, it was
about
absolutely a
that,
great performance.
yeah, if Aaron Jones goes out there and delivers anything near that performance, Jordan Love will have it a lot easier. But I just think the way San Francisco plays defense, running backs don't have good
Yeah.
games
I
against
mean, they're
them.
pretty middle of the pack in
So
terms
it's
of run defense. They're like 14th in yards per. I think they might. I think this might be a game where they really kind of give it to him at least 20 times and really give him that kind of Derrick
don't-
Henry like workload.
I'm
Because I
not
know
super-
Jordan Love's been having.
No, but-
yeah, sorry, Serge. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I don't know if I'm the Packers. This Niners defense doesn't scare me that much.
It should.
It's
should.
a-
I don't
no,
think
I
they
mean,
have
it's
a.
like
they- I don't. There's a cornerback shortage across the NFL, and the Packers have what it
that's
seems
not
to be
true,
like.
but-
It is actually factually true if you look at PFF grades. It's been the lowest graded PFF year for cornerbacks.
I think that's
That's
more
true.
receivers, but
No, the Packers have unlimited receivers. It seems like Dontavion Wicks looked amazing.
yes, sir.
Stop.
Yeah,
I love Dontavion. I'm sorry.
And I like Travis Ward. I do think he's a lot better than he was on the Chiefs. But if that's your number one guy,
Nah, he's an all-pro.
no, he
corner.
is. You're right. He is.
He's
That's
he
it.
is.
That's-
I think
he
it's
is.
more. I think it's more
but
opposite.
I-
to
He's
that.
not an all-pro corner though, because he's not a top 3 corner in the NFL.
But he was like literally an all-pro
He
corner.
was on. He was on. The
Right, but
all-pro
he's
list,
not- but-
so-
But
the All-Pro
straight
list is
up,
awful, to be fair.
There are
though.
more than 3 guys that you would take over Travis Ward.
Yeah, but he was literally an all-pro
this
corner.
this season he was an all-pro corner, so therefore I feel like it's fair to list him as an all-pro corner.
Charlie, you guys are both right. You're both right. You're both agreeing with each other basically. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I really think this Packers receiving core is, I mean, like it was just unstoppable. Like it was like that's what I mean. Like to wrap my head around that Jaden Reed didn't catch a pass is absurd, and they put up 48 points. To be fair, Dylan Jones had 3 touchdowns, so he
Yeah.
was fantastic. But Jordan Love was able to find, I mean, dude, some of those passes, like the one to Wicks over the
Mhm.
shoulder, it was just, it was.
The one to Dobbs in the red zone will always
that
mystify me.
sidearms. I know it was little
unreal.
Mahomey, little Mahomey.
Well, you'll never catch me.
It looks a little Mahomey.
So also to be clear, not only was Travarius Ward an all-pro corner, but so was Deron Bland for the Cowboys. And where was he the other night? So I'm just saying,
But
like,
what does that have to do?
But there's a difference. There's a very different.
What does that have to-
sense in
Okay.
Charlie, I'm
No,
I'm
but
laughing
where
at
I'm
him, but
agreeing
Charlie's
with-
right.
where I'm agreeing with Keen is this Niners defense does not scare me as much as I think people think it does.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, if the Packers go out and have the same offensive performance as they did against the Cowboys,
That's
the Niners
such a
won't
tall
stop
order,
them.
though.
No, I'm not saying it will happen. But you said if Aaron Jones is anywhere near as good as he was, I'm saying if the Packers offense was anywhere near as good as they were. Because
Yeah.
I was just
that
saying if
Packers
Aaron
offense
Jones is
put up
anywhere near as
48 points.
Yeah, I was just saying if Aaron Jones is anywhere near as good as he was, it'll be an easier game for Jordan Love because I think the Niners defense they just have that scheme of offense figured out because their head coach Kyle Shanahan he's the pioneer of this system. So you have him who's hired good defensive coordinator year in, year out, who also know the system and are able to defend it. And they've gone and beaten LaFleur. I think now this will be the 4th time in the playoffs if it happens.
Yeah.
Maybe 3rd. It's just, I feel like it's just, again, and I said it with the Bucks, it's just too tall of an order to go out and do. I want to pick the Packers just because it's such a fun team and they're going to be good for the next 20 years because they have so, like, 20 is too much, but like
10, 15.
the next cycle
10.
of this team, they will be because they have unlimited youth and they have.
Well, no, the thing is they're
a
not
lot
paying
of-
anyone. That's why.
I know.
They're not paying anybody. So they can bring
Yeah.
in more pieces
So-
next year. Yeah.
But then
Charlie, who's
I
your
haven't
pick?
even
Sorry,
talked
sorry.
about.
Sorry.
I haven't. Yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
could. I haven't even talked about
Sorry,
San
Dylan, sorry,
Francisco's
Dylan.
offense,
Mhm.
who just like are
Well, didn't you say you thought they
either
put up
best or
40?
sec.
Sure, it said that.
San Francisco.
I
I
did.
haven't.
Okay, sorry.
I haven't talked about San Fran's offense at all. That are just the like best offense in the league with the best play calling and the best like supporting cast. So like,
I know
yeah,
what Charlie's
give
gonna
me.
say.
I know what you're about to
What?
say.
I
Dallas
know.
for statistically the best offense in the
No,
league.
no.
But
But the weapon, but
San
like
Fran.
going from Mike McCarthy to Kyle Shanahan is a huge difference. Going from, I think CeeDee Lamb was the best weapon. Outside of that, was a bit of a fall off. Here you have
Sir,
And
four
we
elite.
saw-
I think
weapons.
Charlie wants to say something.
Yeah, Charlie, go ahead.
So yeah, first off, Dallas was statistically the best offense in the league this year. So saying that the Niners is the best and they're going to do something against the Packers that the Cowboys couldn't, while I may agree that the Niners have more weapons, statistically speaking, it's wrong.
Yeah, but
But I
it's
also
not a
think,
game played on paper.
and this is a totally random one because this is like, I think who was it who we talked to? I think Dylan, you and Surge and I, when we were at Surge's house a couple weeks ago, talked about Brock Purdy. And we talked about how Brock Purdy is an elite improviser. Surge disagreed.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
I don't think that Brock Purdy's a system quarterback by any means. However, Cam Newton called out 3 quarterbacks this year.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was
you're
Tua
gonna use the
Tagovailoa,
graphic that you
Dak
saw.
Prescott.
Come on.
and Brock Purdy.
Like as
So you're-
Huey
And
discussed.
Jared Goff.
2 of them
Are you
have been
making
eliminated
your
in the first
pick
round of the
based on
playoffs.
Cam Newton's podcast from 3 weeks ago?
All I'm saying is that Cam is 2 for 2 right now.
No, he's 2 for 3.
All right,
Jared
so-
Goff.
So let me get this straight. You are making your selections from the Texans game based on, oh, I want to be different, from the Bucks game on, you know what, I'm going to swing differently this way, and from this one, Cam Newton said that Brock Purdy is a system
Dylan, I'm
quarterback. Are
very
those
clearly
your
just
picks?
trying to find an excuse for picking the Packers.
Charlie's
Come on,
gone
man. Just let him have the excuse.
Charlie has gone rogue on
okay,
this episode. He's
I think the reason I picked the Bucks with my last pick was because I wanted to pick like all upsets for this round.
Mhm.
Chiefs Bills, there is no upset in that game in my mind, so there's just no viable
The
upset. So
fraud
I'm gonna
bowl.
pick 3 out of 3 upsets, and then I'm gonna get
Dylan,
like
you can't say that as a Dolphin. Like, you
I'm
actually are not
I knew
allowed to
that- I
say
knew
that.
you were going to get mad. I
No,
knew
because
you were
it
going to get
pisses me
mad.
off.
no, and I think more than anything, I just want to pick the Packers in this one because I know that I have a feeling that at least one of these 3 upsets will pay off. One
Yeah.
of them is probably going to happen. And
You're
I
not
want...
as smart if you get one of 3, though. Like when you're
No,
picking
but
them all, it's
that's
not
not the
like-
point. That's not the point. People don't remember when I don't
Yeah.
pick the Ravens.
They
People
all
remember when I
only-
do pick the
I
Texans.
think they will.
They only remember the clip that goes on TikTok that had him
Exactly.
picking them.
So that's what I'm picking for. And I think that I'm using it as an excuse because Dylan, you're like, oh, I so badly want to pick the Green Bay Packers. So pick the Packers. This is not like a
I don't
now
think
I'm
that's
gonna
what's gonna happen.
now I'm gonna hold you this. You're
I'm
gonna
not gonna- like,
next week we're
I
gonna get on the
want the Packers
podcast and the
to-
Packers
I
won.
don't
You're gonna
think
be like,
that's gonna
I was this
happen.
close to picking the Packers, but you didn't pick
Yeah, Dylan,
the
to
Packers.
be
and I
fair.
did. So like
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
no,
saying this is my pick because
But
I
your
also think that-
reasoning for picking the Packers just isn't
no,
good
I
enough
have
in my eyes.
more
Like-
reasoning. This is not I'm just saying because Cam Newton called Brock Purdy a fraud that I'm picking the Packers. I really do think that Jordan Love is the quarterback of the future for the Packers, and he is. We watched CJ Stroud go out and put a great divisional or wild card round performance up. We watched Jordan Love put a great performance up, and I think a lot of what's actually prompting my Niners and Ravens loss picks is because I haven't seen them play in a couple weeks, which is just the more recent teams that put up more recent good performances are most likely to win in the playoffs. The Eagles were cold heading into the playoffs and lost. I just think that the Packers, if they can go out and play almost as good of a game as they played against the Cowboys, it's going to be a hard time stopping them from winning the Super Bowl. I think the only way that's going to happen is if some individual brilliance from Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen stops them. I don't think that the Niners team has the individual brilliance of Brock Purdy that can stop the Packers. I don't think Brock Purdy's a system quarterback. I don't think he profits off McCaffrey or Debo or Ayuk or Kittle. Great weapons, but he doesn't have the same brilliance of a Mahomes, of a Lamar Jackson, of a Josh Allen, and I think we can all agree on that.
Charlie does
of
not
course.
give a fuck. I love it. That was I was looking for a point to be like, nah, but I mean, I agree. Like if they play how they've been
I mean,
playing,
Listen,
This is a
in
Super Bowl winning
theory-
team if they play the way they played.
Yeah, I mean,
in theory, sure, but
yeah.
again, your reasoning is the 49ers don't have the greatest quarterback, which they've won 13 games this season with this team. I don't feel like
No,
Well-
but it's not me. It's not me saying
Well,
that Brock
nice
Purdy's a
search.
bad quarterback. I
Nice.
think Brock Purdy's a
Mhm.
top 7 or 8 quarterback in the NFL. But my reasoning is just that a lot of the time in playoff games, the brilliance of a quarterback wins you the game.
Yeah.
Jordan Love was phenomenal last week. CJ Stroud was phenomenal last week. I just don't think that Brock Purdy is going to elevate the Niners in a way that's just winning them playoff games without a second thought. This is like Jordan Love played that playoff game. I hate to sound like all the NFL commentators, but he played that playoff game like Patrick Mahomes. He was brilliant, and he sparked the Packers to win that game. I don't think
Little
Purdy
Mahomes.
sparks the Niners to win.
Little bit.
I think that
Mm.
Jordan Love could definitely go out and beat the Niners in San Francisco.
I
Yeah,
do
so we
see
got
that.
2-2 split.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to
Mhm.
quickly say 2 more things. First of all, Dylan, sorry I got mad at you for interrupting. I've interrupted a lot, so that was on
Yeah,
me.
you're good. Listen,
Um,
I have the crown for interrupting King, so it makes more sense.
It goes around. It goes
Yes,
around.
King.
Second, I just want to say, Matt LaFleur, whatever you do to make these quarterbacks, you got to leak it. I
Also,
don't know
how is he not winning
how-
Coach of the Year? Like,
yeah, well, yeah.
He's
I mean,
never won. It doesn't
I
make
I
know,
don't.
sense.
It doesn't make
I know.
sense. The Packers
I
are
think after
always
this,
like
yeah.
the number 1 or 2 seed.
But to
in
be,
the
I don't
NFC.
know if you
like,
saw
it's
it,
just.
and Dylan's Mr. Press Conference guy, but literally in the press conference after the Cowboys game, Matt LaFleur was
I
like,
did see it.
I don't know how where Jordan Love got, like, he was like, I don't
No,
I
but
don't
we
even
also
know
get
if
that Jordan Love was a first-round pick. Like, this was a first-round
Mhm.
pick.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it makes sense.
I
It was
was
a great
never a
pick.
hater on Jordan Love. Again, I'm not going to say that I said Jordan Love was going to be good. I don't think I said Jordan Love would be bad, but I think again, I'm not clearly remembering, but like I
It
feel like
was so
I have-
unknown. It didn't know what
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
see.
guess
It
so.
I
sat
said-
for like 3
I said
years.
2 seasons ago. I said 2 seasons ago when it was rumored that Rodgers was going to leave. I went on to the This Just In podcast with he was one of the guys
Yeah.
that we talked
Yeah,
to a
yeah,
couple of
great
times.
guy.
I went onto that show and said if Jordan Love gets the reins this year, it'll be too early, but he'll figure it out soon enough. I didn't expect this, obviously, but I did say that.
All right, we will move. Also, shout out to him. He is now an ESPN reporter, so that's very cool.
Oh wow, I did not know that,
He's a
actually. That's
reporter. May not be ESPN, but he's a reporter for some big organization. So congrats, a great guy.
That's
Dylan. We
awesome.
should go on the show again. Very, very great guy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We will move on now to our. Oh man, this is history. Will history repeat itself? Chiefs, Bills. They always find some way to find each other in the playoffs, and they are again. That being said, much different teams than these past couple years. Teams that have faced a lot more adversity, teams that have faced a lot more questions. Dylan, I swear on my life, if you say that they are frauds.
Okay, look, I know
the
that
fraud
Dylan's
bowl.
picking the Chiefs because he thinks the Bills suck.
Yeah.
I think
Like,
both
we
of them
can-
are
I
kind
think-
of bad, to
I
be
think,
honest.
yeah, but you
They-
think that the
Dylan-
Bills are worse than the Dolphins, and you also think the
No,
Chiefs are worse than the Dolphins.
no,
to
no,
be
no.
fair.
That-
So, like,
this is where I changed. This is where I changed tune. They're not worse, but they're still not that good. Like the Dolphins,
So the Dolphins
clearly
suck, too.
proved that they. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They
All right,
clearly
fair
proved
enough,
that they
fair
weren't
enough.
ready.
That's
Yeah,
all I
like-
wanted.
That's
so
all I
it's
wanted to hear you
okay.
say.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna deny that. Yeah.
I mean, you speak about games that are hard. I think this is the hardest game to predict.
considering I picked 3 underdogs, for me, this is the easiest one to pick.
Yeah. I just don't know. Like, it's just.
I could get
really
mine out
hope
of the
you
way
go
if you
0 for
want.
4. I really hope you go over 4.
Yeah,
I'm not
Charlie,
gonna lie.
No, it would be
Charlie-
hilarious. I actually think that might be the
I actually hope you do, because I was
time in
gonna,
like any person ever history to
I
go
know.
over 4. It would be really funny. And I think it's very possible with this pick because I'm actually going to take the Buffalo Bills in this one. I
Yes, you're going
think-
0 for 4.
I
Oh,
think that the Bills have been hotter than the Chiefs. And that's just kind of all it takes in
Yeah.
the playoffs to win games a lot of the time. And I think Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, they looked good last week. They've won, I believe, 6 of their last 7 regular season games. They looked out of it for the division. I think they were 3 or 4 games off the
We don't
Dolphins
talk
at one
about it.
point.
yeah,
Ended
but,
up- No, and it's not even
Nah,
hate on the
nah, nah.
Dolphins. That's to say that
Mhm.
the Bills have won so
It's
many
both,
games.
but yeah.
That's just people say that, oh yeah, they won 6 of their last 7, and by the way, their one loss was in overtime to the Eagles. But they've won 6 of their last 7, and people say, well, they haven't looked impressive, but they've won.
yeah.
So for me, that's what it takes. In the playoffs, people don't remember how they won the games. It's just that they won them. They will, they went out and they beat the Steelers pretty handedly this weekend. And I think they're going to go out, and I think this is a good game, but I'm going to take the Bills. I think they're they're just gonna do enough to edge out the Chiefs. Not to say that it'll be a bad game by the Chiefs, but the Chiefs haven't impressed me this year. The Bills haven't super impressed me this year. But uh, look, there's kind of no logic behind it. I think either way you go, there's a good
Yeah.
reason for why. So I'm just gonna take the Bills in this one, and I think it just is what it is. I think the Bills. I'm just gonna pick the Bills to win if they can even play in Buffalo
Yeah.
because there might be
I
too
will
much
say
snow. But
this.
you know,
It
I will.
it should be
Yeah.
fun to
If
play.
if they're done shoveling,
I
by
will.
then.
I will say this.
Hmm.
I think it is very, very much a big thing that it is in Buffalo because let's not forget it's the only reason the Dolphins lost that game because the Buffalo Stadium is so.
Why are we
remote.
still talking about this? Come on, come on.
No, but because we're talking about the Bills and the Dolphins were their last regular season game.
No,
Like
I'm
that's
joking.
just
I'm just
we were
saying.
talking. No,
I'm just saying that
it was from.
game.
We're going back to week
Mhm.
5 now. If
Me
we're
and
talking
Dylan
about
have
that.
just
But hi,
had
Mark.
this
Hi, Mark.
nonstop. Charlie, on our live stream the first day, me and Dylan. I'm not going to bring it up again, but all right, Dylan. I'm not getting an argument over this again. I just want to tell Charlie about this. Dylan said that Tua has
Yeah.
improved because he learned how to fall in the offseason. He said that he
What does that,
learned
wait,
how
wait,
to,
wait, wait, what does that
Because
mean?
he
What does
didn't
that
get
mean?
hurt.
he said when you get sacked,
He
he
got-
learned that he
last-
can roll. When a 300-pound man is tackling you, he learned that he can just roll and will never get hurt again.
You're describing it way differently than what happened. You're
Whatever.
describing it way
That-
differently.
that-
My
we're gonna
argument
get off
was
track. We're gonna get
in
off
the
track.
off season, he had concussion problems. He went and he did judo and taekwondo.
I'm so confused. So I'm just
so you
gonna,
can
like,
explain it and make me
sit
sound
here
stupid.
and not take any of that.
He solved his concussion problem through proactive training. That's pretty much what I was saying. But he's making
So he
me
didn't get
sound dumb
concussed this
by
year, and that makes
Yeah.
him worse. I'm confused.
No, he said he
no,
learned.
I'm saying it
I
it
just
made
don't
him better.
understand
because
We
he
are
learned-
really off topic. I
Yeah,
feel
I
like.
just,
Dude.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's. You
yeah.
couldn't. You knew that bringing that up was gonna start that. There's no way you. Like...
I always try do it and then move on, but it just never works. Yeah, no, Bills.
It can't.
I do. And not jokes aside, I do think it being in Buffalo is a big, not a big deal, but is obviously a.
No, it's
It
a
is a
very
big
big
deal.
deal.
Yeah, it is. A
I
big
mean,
deal.
Buffalo to Kansas City is such a huge momentum swing
Yeah, no,
because
100%.
playing in Kansas City is impossible for teams against them, and playing in
Playing
Buffalo is
Buffalo.
impossible for teams against them. So, you know,
Yeah, it's a tough one because I do think the argument of what Josh Allen are we going to get in this game would be a lot more useful, but Josh Allen has looked good his past couple games. I know Dylan's going to bring up the
No, he did. He
team
did.
though.
No, he
Yeah,
looked.
but
He didn't
at
do
least
anything
against
wrong
the
against
Steelers,
Steelers.
at least against the Steelers, there was no benign. I'm gonna throw the ball and not look.
There was
and
one that got dropped, but
Yeah,
but other
but
than
nothing.
that, yeah.
There was nothing like the one against the Dolphins where it was like, what are you doing? Like that was,
Yeah.
So that is the thing. I think Allen will be better, but again, it's a Chiefs secondary that I didn't give enough credit to. They were fantastic. L'Jarius Sneed was very, very good.
Jammed his ass to
Tyreek Hill.
Cancun.
Yeah. But yeah. It's a Chiefs secondary that I've given a lot more credit to. As a pass rush that I was able to get to Tua a lot more. Obviously, Tua was pressured for a lot of that game. It's tough for me because
it was so bad, dude. Holy crap!
I just think this Bills offense has been so effective. And again, Khalil Shakir, credit to us. I feel like all of us said that guy we like coming out of Boise State. We are like, hey man, tall guy can run.
I was pretty high on him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was also that play where
Yeah,
he
Keenan,
got out
I think
of the-
you really liked Shakir.
I-
this
I don't know
I'm pretty
how
sure-
he stayed up.
I gotta give myself credit.
that
I'm
was
pretty good at
remarkable.
scouting receivers. We
Yeah,
all have our strengths.
sometimes.
We all have our strengths. I feel like my recent ones though have been very good. Like my Tank Dell take, like, come on. That's gotta be.
I think that was more because you just liked the guy, not the way
I
he
know.
played.
No,
like,
that is why.
will say,
that is why. But
I've been pretty strong on quarterbacks. I
yeah,
mean,
we all have our
I knew
strengths.
Trey Lance,
Charlie's
Zach
good. No,
Wilson.
Charlie's
I knew
good.
were both gonna be bad.
Who had Stroud? Was it you?
I had
Charlie, or was it
Me.
Howell.
It was
Sorry,
Stroud.
I had Howell.
yeah,
Howell
except
Stroud.
not at the end,
Yeah.
right?
No, I did. I checked. I checked the
He checked
the
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 board.
big
He did
board.
have it. I
It
remember,
was
yeah.
number one.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're getting off topic. We're
player.
getting off topic. Yeah, it's
Let's get back to the game. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I keep lagging. I'm gonna go Bills, and
Nah,
I'm not convinced at all. Because I
that's kind of
mean,
gonna be the real underdog.
I
here.
just think, Charlie, like you said, like this is just such a 50-50 game. I mean, whenever these two quarterbacks show out, they both play well, and it's just like, I mean,
It's the kind of
like,
game that could
yeah.
literally come down to the opening coin flip. That's how close it is.
Yeah,
That's
like,
how
it's like,
50-50 it really is.
It's like last play, obviously, like the 13-second thing. Like Allen was fantastic that entire game and just did not
But
win.
hey, new overtime rules.
Yeah, new overtime rules. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
We
Buffalo.
still
And
haven't
again,
seen it.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna-
know. I was really hoping we were going to see it in the Rams-Lions game, but we didn't get it.
But
so.
yeah, I'm gonna go Buffalo. That's and again,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of
So-
rhyme or reason. I kind of agree
Yeah.
with Charlie. I think they're a team that's rolling a little more, so far.
Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to ask is to the NFL and as the community, can we please, as fans, petition this game to get moved off of CBS for all that is good? Because we're going to have to hear Tony Romo and Jim Nantz for the lack of other ways of saying this, meat munch the quarterbacks to an extreme level for all 3 hours of this game. This is going to be, and I might mute it. And I want to get into broadcasting. I said it on the live yesterday. I will not be able to handle it. I will mute it or find a Spanish broadcast because I can't do it. Anyway, onto the game. This is going to be I think the grittiest of the games. It's a cold weather game. We're going to need to see a lot of trench warfare from both teams, and it's going to come down to who's the tougher team. Just who has the ability to tough out the situation, who's going to get that extra yard on the push,
Which
on
leads
the
you
third and
to
one.
Isaiah.
And
But
I
just
actually
where
was
I
not
figured you were
going there.
going, but
No, it actually wasn't where I was going, but that's a good factor into it. Pacheco's going to have a good game. I am picking the Chiefs in this game just because I think the defensive front has just, I think, that little leg up over the Bills O-line, and Mahomes is better than Allen. And there's just, I think, overall, in the style of game we're going to see, which is going to be a Spagnuolo blitzing game against an offense that doesn't really have an identity other than Josh Allen pulling off crazy stunts. I just think the more structured Chiefs team is going to be able to come through and win this game. Again, I've said low scoring a bunch. It'll be lower scoring than people think because when you see Mahomes versus Allen, you're expecting fireworks. It's going to be
Which will happen.
It's going to be a close game. I don't think as much. I just think it's going to be the structure of the Chiefs defense is going to be able to withstand the power of the Bills. I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, this is I think right now the way these teams are playing, these are obviously two of the best quarterbacks in the league, but also two of the best defenses in the league. And I think one of the interesting things, I think it's going to really come down to the legs of both of these quarterbacks because both of these teams, I know the Bills are a bit banged up, but from what Sean McDermott said, I think they're all like day to day, which I mean,
They'll
I think
be fine.
I'm
Those
pretty
guys are
sure
gonna
Rasul
play.
Douglas will play. I think they'll
Bernard's
play.
going to play. Yeah.
I think, well, Teron Johnson
He
is the
won't.
one I
He
think is
won't.
huge, and he's in concussion protocol. That's going to be interesting because Cam Lewis really had a poor game in like kind of when
And
he had to
that's gonna
fill in
be-
for that. But he's a huge
He's
piece
going
of
to have
that
to guard
defense.
Rashee Rice.
And that's going to be where I think Rashee Rice and that's like the main weapon for the Chiefs. So that's going to be huge. I think these are two great defenses and mainly two great secondaries. I think we saw with the Chiefs, Trent McDuffie, All-Pro, L'Jarius Sneed arguably should have been an All-Pro. I think they're going to do a good job. I think Diggs has never really had great games against the Chiefs. I think that may continue in that game.
The third picture of him
We
sitting
might-
on the sidelines is going to be so
Yeah.
legendary.
Although we might see the return of Gabe Davis against the Chiefs, where he randomly in big games becomes prime Jerry Rice. I think it could happen. It could happen. But I think
Why are
I
you
say
guys
the
talking
legs are
about
being.
Rashee Rice? Well, what impact would he have?
He's
Big
Rashee Rice
punts.
he had over
Big
100
punts.
yards.
big punts, yeah, big punts.
But
It's not funny
anyway.
at all. It's not funny.
It is though, just because
But-
it's so unfunny.
I know.
Like,
I think, but when you look at these two teams, I'm actually going to go with the Bills. I think for two reasons. One, I think, like
Yeah,
I said,
Dylan.
it's going to come down to the legs of the quarterback. I think
Hey,
Josh Allen
1v3.
is objectively a better running quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. Also, I disagree with
Patrick Mahomes
Dylan.
is a sneaky scrambler. Sneaky
Yeah, he's
scrambler.
Right,
yeah.
but sneaky.
But
But Josh
Josh Allen's
like,
just a
yeah,
great
Yeah,
running
no,
quarterback.
that's true. It's true.
But, and I think another reason is I disagree with the fact that the Chiefs have the D-line advantage. I actually would give it to Buffalo just because they have Ed
Ed
Oliver,
Oliver,
who's been
Greg
playing at a great
Rousseau.
level. I
But
think
Chris
Daquan-
Jones outplays him. Chris
But also
Jones is
Da-
better than Ed Oliver.
But also,
Ed Oliver's
no,
had
but
9.5
Daquan,
sacks.
but not
Ed
just Ed
Oliver,
Oliver.
yeah.
Wait, who had
Ed
9.5?
Oliver-
Is
At
it was
Oliver.
it was at Oliver?
It was
Yeah,
at
yeah, that's what I
Oliver.
thought.
Yeah.
You have Ed Oliver.
Christian on
You
the
have
10.5.
okay, but not only Ed Oliver. You also have
Fraud.
Daquan Jones. You have Leonard
Yeah, but,
Floyd. You have Puna Ford.
yeah,
They've
it's a
got
good
a
D-line,
very
yeah.
deep. They've got a very deep defensive
Dylan,
line.
you
I
should
think
know
that's
about
gonna.
this defensive line very well.
It's a good D-line, but I wasn't even just saying the Chiefs have a better D-line than the Bills, which I think they do. But my argument was more the Chiefs D-line versus Bills O-line is a bigger mismatch than the way around.
I just agree with that just because I think the Bills' offensive line has really stepped up kind of later in the season when you have guys like Deion Dawkins, who's also been playing at a very high level this season.
Yeah,
You have
he's been good.
you have guys like obviously Mitch Morse, who's always been one of the better interior linemen in the league. You have guys like Osiris Torrance, who's had a solid year. You have why am I forgetting? The other Connor McGovern. I will call him the other Connor McGovern because Connor McGovern, the real one, is on the Jets. But I think
better
the
Connor
Bills.
McGovern's on the Bills.
I don't care. But the Bills, I think the Bills line actually will be able to do a solid job against the Chiefs. And again, I think Josh Allen's running ability is going to be the key factor. Not to mention, obviously, playing at Highmark is a totally different game than playing at Arrowhead, which we have not yet seen in the playoffs. Give me the Bills. As much as it pains me to say it, give me Buffalo.
There
It doesn't
is.
pain you that much.
It does.
doesn't
I
pain you
don't
that
want.
much. No,
Why
Bro,
does it pain
the
you?
Bills are the only team left that don't have a Super Bowl in our division. What can I
Yeah,
say
that's
after they win
fair.
a Super
That's
Bowl?
fair. Yeah.
I can't see them now, but
And we're gonna add in just
I'm
our
just
last
pessimistic.
our last topic and just I mean, guys, how bad is Tua? I mean, like really.
Uh,
when you look at that-
Oh my God!
He's
Please
left-
pay him 50 million.
He's laughing to
Dylan.
the
Pay
bank
him
this
50
off
million.
season. I'm so content with him being our
Oh
quarterback for
yes,
the next 5 years.
yes.
For the next
Yes,
5 years, he's
yes,
gonna be
pay
there.
him.
Ah,
Yes,
man, please be there for
I'm so
10.
ready. I'm so
Let's
hyped.
go.
Pay him. Pay
so
him,
hy- I'm so
please.
hyped. I'm so
Please,
hyped.
Please pay him.
Dude,
No more
We're building
Tyreek.
something. We're building something. I'm excited.
Yeah, building
Building
like
Anyway,
constant,
like one of those
crazy-
constant choking.
building like one of those you see it on Instagram reels, like those Indian shops on the side of Indian streets that like shovel like the poop like food, like that's kind of what like they're building.
That's
like that.
racist.
And like I'm
I
Indian.
feel like you could have come up with a
That's-
much funnier analogy than that.
You really
But-
could have.
because like Tua is scooping
So-
poop and like giving it to people. Like I guess that doesn't really make sense, but
Nah. You listen. You had all the tools to make that work, and you failed. So
just like Tua.
let's go to.
Oh, that was good. That was
Yeah, that's getting clipped.
I
That's
mean,
getting
yeah,
clipped, buddy.
that was pretty solid. That was pretty solid. But we're not gonna get into this argument now. So
We're gonna do
let's
our
go
before
to-
we end it off our crazy predictions. Damn, I'm actually really proud. That was a great comeback, Dylan. I really knew
that was I set you up again.
Yeah.
Like
Charlie. We'll go to you first. As
Wait, can I go last?
no.
Is it not a bold prediction enough to have 4 underdogs winning this week?
Oh yeah, that's kind of Actually,
I'll
Charlie,
take.
yeah.
I guess my
Yeah.
bold prediction will be all 4 of my picks are right because like that's
Okay,
pretty bold.
alright,
But
fair
like
enough.
you know,
Dylan.
All right.
What is yours?
so for me, Jared Goff will get sacked 6 times, and they will still win. That is where I'm going.
Because that happens a lot. I mean, I guess that's why it's a hot take.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah. Like,
I'm gonna stick with that. The Lions theme. I'm gonna say Jameson Williams is the leading receiver this game. He has a couple of long touchdowns, over 100 yards.
I like that.
I don't
I
like.
like
I
that.
don't like the cornerbacks for the Bucks, and I think
I like
Amon
it.
Ra is gonna get
Yeah.
their attention.
But you have Jamel.
wait,
Dean,
can
who
we
is a
make
very
some sort of
fast-
promise on this? Like we need a certain amount of catches on this because one long touchdown pretty much puts him at that.
Sir,
No,
said
I'm
Yeah,
just saying
how-
over
how-
100 yards. Over
I said
100
over
yards.
100
Wait,
yards.
we're talking over 100 on 5 catches because I feel like if we're going bold,
I'm
we're
just
going
saying
bold,
over 100
bold.
yards. I'm
Yeah.
saying over 100 yards. He's gonna have a couple of.
But
long
Keen had
catches.
Nico to get 200 last week.
Yeah, but Jameson Williams is a lot
And I-
less involved than
Nico is like a true receiver. One
Yeah.
JMO is.
I have a 6 sack win for the team that gets sacked 6 times. I feel like you can step it up a little.
That's,
Serge, go-
that's
Serge.
just what I'm saying because a 75-yard touchdown means he only needs 25 more yards. Like it's just
Yeah,
Sir,
like,
throw 150 on there.
I don't think he's gonna. Okay, you know what? I'll say 2 touchdowns. Over
2
100.
touchdowns and 100. 2 touchdowns and 100. That
100.
works.
I'll
all
take
right,
it.
that
Alright.
works. That works.
All right, I'm gonna go away from Lions. I say Stroud has 304 touchdowns.
That's crazy.
Didn't he do that last week though?
But against
But-
the Ravens at M&T, no way.
300
Actually, I should have said.
wait,
I should have said. I should have said
300
Stroud.
304 touchdowns.
303 touchdowns because that was insane.
I should have.
compared to
I should have said
303
Stroud throws
touchdowns.
for under 200 and turns the ball over multiple times. That actually should have been.
I'm
Well, you
saying-
could go with that. I'll take that.
I'm
I'll
saying
take that. I will take that.
that's so. Is that your Surge?
Yes.
Okay, I like that. I like
You're
us having
finally going
opposite
under
ones.
200 and multiple turnovers.
And I have
Yes.
I have over 253 touchdowns.
That's not that bold.
Okay,
You got to go
That
over
is, but
300.
again,
You got to go over 300.
Over 303 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns is insane. Over 303 touchdowns. All right.
Right.
That is our that'll end it out. Another great episode. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Obviously comment your hate down below because that's all we get. So
Clip that. That's hilarious.
thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Yeah, man. Obviously follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. All clips of our podcast
Your
go up
hate
over
down
there.
below.
So thank you. We obviously again just with all 4 of us on. Thank you all so much for 2,000 subscribers. Absolutely unreal. We could not thank you guys enough. The fact that all 4 of us have been doing it for 4 years, 2,000 subscribers, over 5,000 I think across all platforms is absolutely phenomenal. We could not thank you guys enough. We're again we're almost at like 2050, so like we're really getting some traction. So we want to thank you guys for that. And yeah, more videos to come out. Obviously, we'll do our championship predictions after this week, and then it's on to Super Bowl, and then it's on to draft. So it's honestly our favorite time of the year, as this podcast. So make sure you guys follow along, subscribe to the channel. Key McDermott, Serge Canali, Dylan Shallum, Charlie Nidell, checking out. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment your picks down below, and we will see you next week.